Hi, I'm Heidi Sherman from Brittle Family Law Group. And Joe, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Joe Gross with JGP Wealth Management.
Well, Joe, let's talk about issues that might come up with kids when parties are separating or divorced. Are there any specific kinds of financial planning issues related to minor kids that you would recommend that parties consider when they're going through that? And does it matter whether the kids are really small or whether they're teenagers?
The number one thing, Heidi, that I like to consider in divorce cases is cash flow. And really, in other words, who pays, right? So, particularly when it comes to variable expenses. So really, no matter what the ages are, if you're talking about maybe coaching, therapy, childcare, could be music, could be the prom, um, could be camps, could be trips. A lot of times these things come up and they're not discussed as part of a normal monthly back and forth childcare payments and things like that. So we want to bring those up and try to put a number to those and consider that. Healthcare, who's going to pay for that? And then maybe the most important when you talk about older kids that needs to be talked about up front is who's going to pay for college. And a lot of times also what comes up with that, particularly if you have a client who may be able to get some federal assistance through FAFSA, is FAFSA, the custodial parent would retain is the one who reports the income and assets on the application. So, a strategy is where the custodial parent would retain more home equity maybe in the deal that's cut and then receive less support. And so that you're managing up front what things are going to look like down the road when you're looking for financial aid.
So when you were talking about the one payment items like the prom or a trip, a school trip, something like that, are those the kinds of things that you would bring up with a client? Because when we're talking to clients, they're thinking, "What are my monthly expenses?" And they're thinking about the regular periodic expenses that they have. Are those the kinds of things that you might bring up with them?
Absolutely. And I think it's important when you're talking to these clients to consider what are things right now where I'm together with this partner, and what are things going to look like when I'm not with the partner, and how are things going to change, and how is it going to make things look not only like in the next several weeks as we go through this divorce process, but what is it going to make my finances look like when I'm 75? And so some of these not talked about things can be come out of nowhere, and they can be significant. So sometimes these kids with proms are spending a lot of money to go out to dinner. Maybe they're getting a limo or whatever the heck they're doing, and we'll want to talk about who's going to pay for that now, and if it's expected that we're going to split that or whatever it is, we'll try to plan for that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Heidi, when is the most appropriate time for somebody to speak with a family law attorney when they're considering divorce?
I think as soon as possible. There are a lot of statutes, case law, a lot of personal things to consider. And I think that everyone should be as educated as possible while they make their decisions. The best decisions are made with more information. So even if you're only just thinking about it, to learn what your rights and obligations might be, I would recommend that you spend the money for a 1-hour consult to at least get some basic information so that you can plan accordingly and make decisions that are going to be best for you and your family.